Shootin' the Shiznit, Shootin' the Shiznit, best little wrestling podcast in the business. Your host BT and all his guests. You'll never know who he'll have next. Shootin' the Shiznit, Shootin' the Shiznit, best little wrestling podcast in the business. Shootin' the Shiznit.
All right, we're live from 304 Studios in Jonesboro, Arkansas. This is an STSPod.club production. I'm BT, and that man sitting right over there, is Bill Rush. How the hell are you, Bill?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. You know, I was talking about you on the USWA podcast is the reason I reached out, because we're going to watch it probably after commercial break. But I said on the podcast that I believe we have worked a few shows together. Like when I was Coach BT, you was a referee, or I was backstage during a Memphis show or something. But my memory sucks, man.
I believe you are correct, but my memory's gone too. I couldn't tell you when it was. But we did work on some things together for sure.
I thought we did too, and I said, you know, because I remember, you know how you always remember people when they're assholes to you, and I said, yeah, Bill Rush, he was a total ass. No, I'm kidding. You know, there are, you know how the business is. There's people that you can talk to, and there's people you just stay away from while you're in the dressing room. You don't even want nothing to do with them.
Absolutely.
And you were never one of those people. Just to let you know that.
I appreciate that.
Talk to me about, I want to start all the way. I like to do this, and what the flagship show is about. It's I grab somebody I know really well and we talk, or I grab somebody I don't know that well, which you kind of fit there, because I don't really know your history except, I guess, you know, seeing you backstage and also seeing you on television. So as a fan, when did you start watching? What were you watching and things like that?
As a fan, I would probably say I could go all the way back to around 1975, 76. I mean, it was Saturday morning wrestling. I mean, my whole family, we sat around and watched it. It was a Saturday morning thing we did.
Was it Mama and Daddy? I mean, did
Mom
both
would sit in there every once in a while with us, but mostly my dad and my brothers. You know, we got into it. My grandfather got into it.
Oh wow.
It was, I mean, my grandfather sat on the edge of the couch just swinging his fist. He was one of those. You better not walk in front of him, you know. But yeah, it was something we did on Saturday mornings. And then all my brothers, I have 4 older brothers. They would take me to the matches on Monday night. I remember times that he would be running late, and we'd get there and they would shut the doors on us, sold out.
Oh wow, yeah.
I mean, it was so big. I mean, it was every Monday night, every Saturday morning. It's just been a part of my life. Just something I knew from an early age I wanted to explore.
You know, I started in '78 at a spot show in Blytheville, Arkansas. And I've told this story. My mom took me and the kids across the street, took us to wrestling. And man, I was hooked. I mean, from that point on, and I was, you know, I wanted to watch the television show every Saturday morning after that, because they told me it comes on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And my mom and my grandmother, or my mama, is what I called her, they always went shopping. So we lived in Steele, Missouri, and they would go to Blytheville, Arkansas. They go to town, Bill. Yeah, everyone
go to town. Yeah.
They would go to town on Saturday mornings, but they didn't like me have to watch. I had to watch wrestling before we left, but we would leave at 12 o'clock and go to lunch in Blytheville. So I sometimes missed that expiration of tag until I got old enough to tell them, you know, I was 12 years old. So I get old enough to tell them I'm just going to sit here now and watch the rest of wrestling. And I did I lived out in the country. I had a friend that got Channel 5, but I couldn't get Channel 5 because my antenna wouldn't work. And I would walk down to his house, and his family would give me their house key when they went on vacation. I was
That's
sitting in
pretty
our
cool.
house to watch wrestling. So yeah, I was hooked big time. So
Yeah, I
when did
was
you
too.
say you want to be a wrestler? When did you start saying it from day one? Because I wanted to get into business, but I
Well,
never was athletic.
I
So
remember telling my grandfather probably when I was, I don't know, maybe 10, that I was going to do that. I was going to do that one day. And he goes, "Oh boy, you'll never be big enough to do that. You might as well not even think about it." But yeah, I was a small guy, but you know the right people and have friends in the business already. I'm not going to say it was easy for me to get in, but
who was the friends that you made?
well, Mike Murphy. I don't know. You remember Mike Murphy?
Yes, I know Mike very well. Yeah,
He's a little older than me. He went to school. He was in my brother Jimmy's class, I think. Um, and I happened to run into him at the Custom Auto Show here in Memphis when they used to have them down at the Cook Convention Center.
Right. Oh, I've been to those. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was talking. I knew he was into wrestling. He was, hanging around Playboy Frazier, and I was like, hey man, what do I got to do to get into wrestling? And he said, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Man, come by my house." He had a ring in his backyard.
Oh wow.
And then we actually started wrestling around in his house. He was showing me stuff in his house. So, but yeah, it was good to know somebody. I mean, that's not putting you directly in to with Lawler or Jared or anything like that, but it's a stepping stone, and
Yeah.
you got to pay your dues to get to wherever you want to go in anything in life.
Right, right.
So, but yeah, that's how I got my start, and then that was Central All-Star Wrestling, I believe is what it was called. You had Mike Murphy, you had Rick Perry, which he was Bubba Payne.
Yes, me and Rick.
But back then,
that's probably it because we worked. I worked shows with him and brought him to Steel to do a show one time, and that might have been what you did. You was with them probably, but yeah.
So I actually got started in the business when I was 16. So I was 16.
Wow.
I couldn't wrestle. So I actually started refereeing when I was 16 as I was being trained. I refereed and helped set the ring up. That's what I did. So that got me started, and then they were running shows in Arkansas and Missouri.
Now I want my listeners to listen to what you're saying, but let's key them in on what those shows were. They would call those shows outlaw shows.
Those were definite outlaws.
Definitely outlaws. I love that. They were outlaw shows. And I told you this on the phone. I discovered them on mistake. I really did. There was a little building in Blytheville, Arkansas, and part of the park. Did you ever work that little building? It had Sarge was there. You remember the team, the Undertakers? Who was the Undertaker? Was that Dirty Little Dave and his partner?
I believe that is correct.
They would do some of the craziest stuff. I went to one of the shows and Sarge was bleeding and the Undertakers were jumping off the top rope to the crowd. And I was like, gee, what is this? So I kind of tried to follow
Dave. I like Dirty Little Dave. He's a good dude.
Man, they would do some things that I'm surprised he could even walk now. You was talking about, start training and everything, but I always like to ask somebody this, especially people that's been in the business as long as you, what keyed you in that wrestling was a work, that it was a business and we were going to do it this way instead of just a legit shoot?
Man, I actually, I pretty much got smartened up when I started training. I mean, I knew in my head that I said, man, it's got to be something to this. I mean, most people do, but and then at some points, you wish you never had to get smartened up, but
I do that. I say the same thing, Bill. I told somebody I was on a podcast that I don't barely know the host, but I was with him. He wanted to talk wrestling. He was like, well, he said, do you still enjoy wrestling? And I said, I have to sit down in front of the television and say, you know, when I was involved in it, I would look at it differently than I do now because I was studying psychology.
Yeah.
How did he come out of the heat? When did he make, I had tag team. So when did he make the hot tag? Or are we going to do double heat? Or are we going to, you know, what are they doing? But see, I just have to turn that off. I try my best to just to watch it and enjoy it as a fan again. But it's hard after you get on this side of it. But I told this a million times on the podcast, but I was front row, Blythe, Arkansas, and it is 5 feet to the ring. Okay. So I'm 12 years old. I'm not stupid. I know there's something not on, you know, on the up and up, but I don't care. I really don't. I'm enjoying it.
It's
working these shows in Missouri and Arkansas didn't get you I know Sarge did it a lot. It didn't get you like a don't use Bill because he works the Outlaw show thing. How'd you get with Memphis? Talk to me about how getting into Memphis.
What happened there? You remember Buddy Wayne, of course.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So you know, I went into a bar. It's called TG's. It was on Macon Road in Memphis. I walk in and Buddy Wayne was working the back door. So,
oh wow,
know, yeah, he was kind of security and took the door money and all that. And I get in there and I'm, you know, hanging out. All of a sudden, he kind of, you know, said, "Hey, come over here." So I go over. He said, "Man, have you ever thought about refereeing?" And I'm, you know, and I'm kind of skipping ahead a little bit, but I'd already, you know, been wrestling on TV there for a little while. But I said, well, not really. I said, I used to referee. He goes, I know you did. That's why I'm asking you. So, you know, he said, if you're interested, let me know before you leave. And so I said, okay, I'll give it a whirl. And he said, show up at the Coliseum Monday night.
Oh, wow.
Be there at 6. And I
now, had you worked as a wrestler, you worked some TV, you said, but you worked at the Mid-South Coliseum before as a wrestler?
No, I only actually got to wrestle in the Coliseum one time.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And that was the USWA against versus Smoky Mountain.
I know. I got a question about that. But yeah, that's I knew you was involved in all of that.
Yeah, I got to work Mark Curtis that night. He's a super guy.
Mark Curtis was a friend of mine. Yes, yeah, he was a friend of mine.
He was a real nice guy.
I was in Philadelphia one night. I wrestled on a Friday night. I actually wrestled. It was horrible, the match was. And Mark pulled me to the side and he said, man, he said, how many matches you had? And I said, I ain't had that many matches. Well, I can tell it. And so, yeah, he was so sweet, though. He was just a nice guy. And he said, I tell you what, and he didn't know, but my dad was sick. So I ended up having to get on a plane for Philly and go home after that Friday night and get a new flight. Yeah. And, but he had planned the whole match. I was going to wrestle him in a turtle suit. Yeah. He was going to be a Ninja Turtle. And he said, look, man, I'll get a good match out of you. You stand in the middle of the ring. You just do what I tell you to do. I was so excited, but we become friends after we went to Smoky Mountain. I talked to him a couple times. It was just one of those things, man. He's here one day, and then you hear he's sick, and then the next day he's gone. I mean, Mark was a really good guy. One of those Bobby Eatons in the professional wrestling.
Yeah, super nice. I mean, just right from the very start.
Okay, so you watch these guys on television, the Jerry Lawlers, the Bill Dundees, so forth, and you walk in TV5 to start wrestling. Was it a mark out moment, or did you just go, okay, I got to settle down here, I'm just going to do my job kind of thing?
Man, it kind of was. I would say that the reason I wanted to get into wrestling was Jerry Lawler.
I think the majority. I told a story that all of us did. Jerry Lawler, Bill Dundee, Handsome Jimmy Valiant. When we were on the playground, we didn't play superhero. We didn't play baseball. We played wrestling. When they made us stop wrestling each other because we were hurting each other.
Yeah. But Jerry he's always been my favorite. And it was very cool to actually, meet him for the first time and then, get to start working for him. Hell, I worked for him for many years, not just doing the TV and Coliseum, many shows that he had on the side, you might say, fundraisers for fire departments,
casinos, stuff like
casinos, that. I mean, hundreds of shows, all kind of stuff. He's always been good to me. He's, payoffs are always on those shows were great.
Oh, I hear that all the time about Jerry. He didn't mind paying people. So
I've heard people, out every once in a while, I got something bad to say about him.
I've had my heat with him, but man, I always was a fan of the wrestler, not the person. And then, I talked to him last year in Evansville, and we actually talked about Kevin. For some reason, there's so many of you guys that remember me and Kevin are friends. It's really crazy because I talked to Bill one time, and Bill says, Dundee goes, "Man, I didn't like you." And I go, "What?" He goes, "No, you were Kevin's friend." And I was like, "All right, Bill, thanks. I appreciate you not liking me."
I tell you what kind of guy Jerry actually was. I mean, he knew I used to do a lot of outlaw shows, and I went to him TV one Saturday morning. I said, "Hey, King, I got these body suits, full body suits and mask." I said, "Would it bother you if I went out and done, worked some of these outlaw shows?" I said, when I'm not booked, there's other places I can go do something. And he said, "No, that's fine." So, I'm like, that's pretty cool. He could have said, "No, I don't want none of y'all, nobody, and I don't know how many people he might have done it for, but, it didn't bother him,
Did you work Kevin on shows like that? Because Kevin did some of that too.
I worked Kevin many times, many times. Tag matches, singles, especially Caruthersville. East Prairie, Missouri.
All those little towns that y'all.
East Prairie, Missouri. That was one we worked the semi-main, and it was a packed house. It was, wrestling was hot in Missouri at the time.
Was they as strict as they are now with the commission and everything? Because I ran shows in Missouri, man. That was tough.
Yeah. And then there was one guy running around there. He's a guy named Henry Hubbard.
Oh, yeah. I know.
Did you ever hear that name?
Yes.
I forget what town it was. He booked me. I was actually wrestling, and the Iron Sheik was on the card, okay?
Did you get your money is what I want to know.
That's where this is going.
All right. Here we go.
I'm
Let's
talking,
hear this one.
It was packed.
Yeah.
Good house. This guy just took off with the money. Just literally got in his car and drove off. I mean, I thought the Sheik, that's the first time I ever met him. If he could have got his hands on that dude, he would have been dead.
Sheik was legit tough.
But I'm going to tell you now, the Sheik's the one that said, "We still got to do the show."
Awesome.
And we did the show.
Now, where was that?
Man, I can't remember what town it was.
Somewhere, it was in Missouri.
It was in Missouri.
And he had a couple other big names, didn't he?
Yeah, I can't remember who I was.
I don't either. I don't remember.
The Sheik just stands out because I stood back there watching him do his clubs,
Yeah, man, yeah. What a deal with that. So we went to Memphis. You were doing TV on TV. Now, there's a couple terms that it's called enhancement talent. Now,
yes.
We kind of said jobbers back in the day, or we're going to do.
That's what I was there for, to do a job.
Hey, I love that. I love that attitude, because I always told people that no matter what, you can get into wrestling. No matter what, you can get into wrestling if you really, really want it. You can pop popcorn. You can put out the chairs.
Yep.
You can set up the ring, whatever We'll do something with you. But was that, knowing your role and knowing what you were doing, was there ever anybody, that gave you shit outside the business and said, "Man, Bill, you lose every week. You lose every week"?
Man, no, not really. I never had anybody mess with me about that. Maybe one of my brothers one time took some jabs at me, but other than that,
it's got to be family,
My oldest brother was a bodybuilder. he was, I'm a little dude, but Ronnie's probably about an inch and a half shorter than I am, and he was benching 500 pounds.
Yeah.
So he could jab at me all he wanted.
Amen. But Sarge has had a really good attitude about that too. He did so many.
One of the first times I ever worked TV, he and I were tag team partners.
You tagged with a bunch of TV in '91. You and Sarge were tag
it was
team.
both of our first time being on TV.
Man,
he got to work Eddie Gilbert a few times. He
worked everybody.
They loved his backdrops.
That's what I was just fixing to say.
He took
My
a
favorite
great backdrop.
Yes, love that backdrop. And they put it in on almost every match.
Absolutely. What did Lawler give him 5 in a row or something?
I don't know. Yeah, Lawler would do that. They did. Eddie Gilbert. We just watched one from '91, and Sarge is in there, and Eddie hits. It looks like Eddie hits Sarge pretty damn hard.
Yeah.
And you can see Eddie say after the match, Sarge gets out of the ring. You can see Eddie saying, "Are you okay?" And we were like, "Oh, he asked me because he done hit him." We knew he had, and we was like, "See, there you go. That's what happens." So when did you?
You're gonna get a spud every once in a while.
Oh yeah. Oh hell yeah. Yeah. I've been hit a couple of times where I didn't know. I've been with a chair or something like that where I don't know where the hell I am for a couple of minutes there.
One of the times I got hit the hardest, it was when Eddie and Lawler had their feud going, and Eddie had put a bounty out on Jerry, if you remember that.
Oh yeah, we just covered that. Yep.
Yeah, so you remember a worker, Donnie Tate?
I don't remember him.
He was a job guy. He was one of the guys that said I would be cool for TV. And so he and I were to go out to the ring and corner Lawler in the corner. We're after the bounty. Man, we went out there and Jerry come up in that corner and he kicked me in my jaw so hard. I saw the light for about 3 or 4 seconds. But that's probably the hardest I ever got hit.
I got stuffed pile driver on a chair one night, and I've told this story, but that's the only time I've ever been knocked out. I hit the leg of the chair. I had my blade in my hand. As I was being picked up, I was going to blade. And I dropped it on the way. But when I woke up from I wasn't out maybe 2 minutes, but when I woke up, I had blood. Every time I breathed, it would go poof, poof. And I was like, where's my blood? Did I just stab myself or what happened? And it was the leg of the chair had busted my head just completely open. I was just like, I didn't even, and it was in Missouri, and thank God we had got the commissioner out of the building before that, because I knew I was gonna bleed, and I didn't want him in the building for it.
That was a tough hard way, wasn't it?
Oh man, I still got I got a little dent in my head. I got more than one dent, but I got that. You can see where it's that chair leg. And the guys that did it, they kept apologizing. I was like, it's not your fault that I felt wrong and I dropped my blade and I don't even know where the blade went. It's the craziest thing. I don't, hell, I may have swallowed it. Who knows? The reason I picked you out and to come on the podcast is we've been watching on the USWA podcast a lot of 1991. And you're in a lot of stuff in 91, and you've been on later on. They watched some other stuff, and you've been on there. But we had something happen, and when we come back from the commercial break, me and you're going to watch this, and I reached out to you on Facebook, and you told me the story about it. But I want to talk about this angle that they did and how, God, it looks. All right, let's take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about you working an angle with Eric Embry.
Oh, boy. All right.
Don't miss Memphis Wrestling Live. Sunday, November 23rd, Jerry the King Lawler is coming to Memphis Wrestling. Meet the King at our VIP experience, plus Santa Claus is coming to town. Monday and Tuesday, November 24th and 25th, Memphis Wrestling's Kids Camp returns for Thanksgiving break. Register now. Sunday, December 14th, it's our annual Grind City Rumble featuring the Good Brothers, Gallows, and Anderson, along with TNA's hometown Maine. And be on the lookout for our 2026 schedule. All tickets are on sale now. Get yours right now at memphiswrestling.tv.
Relive the glory days of Memphis wrestling with the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast. Each week, we go back in time to review USWA Championship Wrestling from the 1990s, episode by episode. Join us for watch-alongs, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive interviews with people who were there and lived it. Whether you grew up watching it or you're discovering it for the first time, this podcast is your ringside seat to Memphis wrestling history. It's all a part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Listen now at USWApodcast.com.
All right, back from commercial. I want to watch this, and then me and you can set it up with me. You go back in time and just tell me how they talked to you about it and so forth and so on. So, but let's watch it first. I'll try to get the sound muted.
Young kid here gives away lots of weight to either of them.
Well, it's not. Yeah, it's not that. You got Tom Pritchard and Eric Embry. If you're not watching the video and you're only watching the audio, this angle.
I see it.
There we go. Oh
man.
I actually said you died. I said, well, you're dead.
That was the craziest bump I ever took right there. It was they came, you know, that morning they came to me in the back, and you know, Eric and Lawler was with him, and they said, man, we want to do something different today. You know, and I was like, you know what? And they said, we'll give you a pile driver off the second rope. And I thought about it. I said, okay.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I would have said, okay, and then I would have got my stub, and I would have went home.
Man, I mean, yeah, it was scary thinking about it. It was, you know, I'm not going to say I wasn't a little worried, but Eric assured me that he would take care of me. I mean, I'd never had any problems with him. He's always been super nice to me, and I had no reason to doubt his ability. He's a great worker. I mean, you know, him and Tom Pritchard both. I mean,
oh man,
you know, stuff happens. Anything could happen. And
sure. But I mean, they're telling you they're pile driving you off the top rope. Tom, you know, I mean, Tom had a lot to do with that too on the setup. We talked about that because, you know, Embry promised he was going to pile drive Lawler from the top of the cage. And and we was like, man, if he does that, good God. But, you know, they kept doing that. They did it to the next guy the next week. And then they did it to John Gillum.
Yeah, they did it to Todd Johnson.
Yes, to Todd Johnson. Yeah,
man, I thought that one looked phenomenal. Todd was a good little worker. But yeah,
where was he from? Because
man, to be honest with you, I'm not sure where he was from. I worked on many cards with him. Back, you know, when I got started, I think he got started right around the same time I did. I had seen him on a lot of outlaw shows.
Yeah. He had, you know, he had tights and boots, and that was one of those things that, and I know people are thinking outlaw shows that people are showing up like backyarders or something. That's not what happens.
No, man.
They have if you don't have boots, you don't have tights and stuff. Even the outlaw shows didn't want you working for them.
Yeah.
So Embry comes to you, says, I'm going to do it. man, just a tremendous bump on your part. Sold it perfect. You're laying there, TV. It feels like forever you're on the you're waiting, and then Lawler does that interview. Lawler is just so pissed that Embry did that to you. It's like, well, man, he got pissed about what if he did it to somebody he knew? He didn't even know Bill, but he got pissed about it. But then they do it to when Jerry leaves for those few weeks. They do it to John Gillum, who is Eddie Gilbert's best friend, and for shoot, one of Eddie's best friends. Gillum takes it good too, and but that really fueled that the heat for Embry. So you said you didn't have any problem with Embry. Why do you think? Because some guys talk about Embry during this run because he was booking. Jarrett called him in and said, "Look, I want you to start booking Memphis," which is odd because we usually have a Jerry Lawler, Bill Dundee, or Jerry Jarrett. Yeah. But they had USWA in Texas and Embry's booking. And Bill, we have noticed so many tiny little, I don't know, nuances or just little bits that Eric will do that other bookers don't do. Yeah. The recent show we did, one of the recent shows, Tom Pritchard and Steve Austin come out doing it, and the first thing you think when they come out is, where's Embry? Yeah. And that's what he wanted you to do. He wanted you to, where's he at? Then he jumps Eddie Gilbert. There he is later in the show. And it's just little tiny things like that. It's Lawler had a neck injury. So they ended the cage with Tom Pritchard choking him with a belt on his neck. Just little things like that Memphis wrestlers sometimes didn't do. But did you have why do you think he gets so much criticism? Maybe because he was pushing himself?
Probably, I would say that's the only thing I could think of. I wasn't around him for a very long time, because in the business, people come and go.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was a time when I wasn't working, but I wasn't around him a whole lot, but I never had any problems with him. I thought he did a good job. I had no problem at all with what he was doing.
They had moved to the Pipkin building, and the first week that Lawler was gone, they drew a hell of a house with him and Eddie. It was, which Memphis has started in that little building, but it was like almost a $5,000 house. And so some of the stuff he was doing, people criticize him for, going too long with something. And some people really criticize him for being a baby face in Texas because the people in Texas were used to guys like Kerry Von Erich and Eric Embry. Eric don't look like Kerry Von Erich. So
no, I could agree with that.
Yeah. But I liked, I liked it. Right now, I'm really enjoying the booking. Like I said, my memory sucks. So I know I watch these shows, but I'm looking at it with a different eye. 91, I was what I call a smart fan. I wasn't really, I knew wrestlers, I knew Lawler, I knew people, but I really didn't understand a lot of this stuff. Now I'm looking at it, as him being the booker and seeing what he does and how he keeps everybody doing something. Yeah. But did you find out that, you already talked about being a small guy and somebody said, well, your dad, or was it your dad said you probably won't be a wrestler or blah, blah, blah.
My grandfather.
Your grandfather. So did you find it easier for people to take you as a referee instead of a wrestler? Because you refereed so many. I know you don't know the number, but man, there's no telling how many.
No telling. But it was much easier, being a referee as far as that goes. It was. I wanted to make it as a wrestler, of course.
Sure,
that's what I wanted to do. But if I had about 30 more pounds on me and about 4 inches, I probably would have made it doing something.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But I had a pretty good career. I was able to work for the person that I wanted to get into business for. How many people probably can say that? Not a whole lot. I had a dream, and it came true. I'm not in the business anymore. Be honest with you, I don't even watch any wrestling anymore.
Bill, come on now. I'm gonna tell you like everybody tells me, man. You can say you're out of the business, but someone's gonna call you, and you're gonna, it's like the mafia. I think the wrestling business is like the mafia. I was out of the business for like 7 years, and Paul Heyman calls me in the middle of the night. Hey, I need you to help me with something. I'm like, I don't even watch wrestling anymore. What the hell, But yeah, I do. I still watch it. I up on the current stuff. I watch the current WWE. I watch Memphis Wrestling. I actually work with Memphis Wrestling, doing their online content and everything, which has been a dream for me. You talk about being on Memphis Wrestling. I never thought, for some reason, I was either Kevin's friend or I was the kayfabe sheet guy.
Yeah.
So when you're the kayfabe sheet guy, no one's going to use you, especially back then. They may use you now, but they weren't going to use you back then.
Yeah.
But I've got my face has been on Memphis Wrestling, so at least I can say that. I sat and dreamed about that as a 12-year-old, and now Dustin Starr's put my ugly mug on TV a couple of times. So there you go.
Old Dustin.
Do what?
I said, old Dustin.
Yeah, man, he's worked hard to make that happen. And being in the middle of the Redbirds and the Tigers and the NBA team, the Grizzlies, he's just got so many connections in Memphis. And that show, man, you got to give it to him. 245 shows, hadn't missed one during the whole run. They hadn't had a repeat. They hadn't missed a TV, nothing like that. So that's more shows than Power Pro. That's more shows than MCW, KAW. Yeah. It's more shows than, I think it's more shows than Corey's run.
Man,
but that's crazy.
You tell me, Corey Macklin. That guy was something else there. I'm
laughing because he hated me, Bill. He hated me.
He's one of those guys that I wish had never got into business. I mean, in my opinion, that, and I don't know if Jerry got him in.
Oh yeah.
Well, if I could say if he did, that would be one of the only things that was his big mistake. That I would say that Jerry did that shouldn't have happened.
Corey was not a great announcer, but he was fun because he would say stuff like big move and ridiculous and ambulance. And we had so much fun with him. And then they had a big show with Funk on it. And Corey was on that show, and he thought he drew that show. He thought that gate was his gate. And he become a professional wrestler after that. And I hated that stuff. I hate all it. But I would cover the show when I did the website. I would cover the show with the results. So I had this little kid in the crowd that would call me and say, okay, this is what happened. And before they were done, because they would film 2 shows, one live, one filmed. Before they were done, I had the results up on the website.
You talking about doing one live and putting one in the can.
Yeah.
We were doing 2 shows at Channel 30, right?
Right.
So we did the first show. The second show was going to be done at Redbird Stadium.
Oh, wow.
Redbird's baseball field, I mean.
Right.
So that was it. So we had to leave TV and then come back to TV and meet them and then get a ride to the stadium, right? So we go to the stadium and we do the show after the game and all that. And we're getting ready to leave or whatever. And Corey walks in the dressing room and is like, hey guys, I appreciate it. All this, And he starts to walk out and Del Rio steps in front of the door.
Oh.
He goes, hey man, where you going? He goes, I'm going home. He said, you got our payoff? And Corey looked at him like he had 2 heads. What do you mean payoff? He goes, this isn't a normal TV booking. He said,
right.
We had to come here, and sit here for hours for this. And then, and you're going to walk out and not pay us. So I'll give Del Rio's props for that right there. he got us paid for that night.
That's
He was actually going to just leave us high and dry, because every one of us could have been booked somewhere else at night.
Sure, that's what it's about. On Memphis Wrestling, it was, and tell me if I'm wrong, but it's the same thing these days, is you go, you do TV taping, you get your exposure on television.
Yeah.
But your payoff is that you're going to hit these spot shows for them.
Yeah.
And that's where the money comes in.
Well, he got paid for that show. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Hell yeah. That was a paid show.
He got a hell of a payday right there. You know?
Yeah.
So that's, I was just going right there. That's the kind of guy he was, as far as I'm concerned.
I didn't have a lot of dealings with him, but the dealings I had with him, he was not happy with me. And it was funny because, I'm reporting on my website. It's a dirt sheet on the web. It's not, it's not for the marks. It was for everybody.
Yeah.
It was the guys in the business. That's who
Yeah.
was reading my website. So it wasn't like I was really spoiling anything. I want to say something. I want to go back, and then I'm going to ask you about other guys that you wrestled. But you were talking about being a referee, and you see this still on television. Sometimes the refs will miss the count. Were you always like 1, 2, 3, and then if they didn't raise their arm, did you count them out on those shows?
Hell yeah! If you don't get it up, the hammer's coming down. You're not going to make me look like a fool.
Did you ever do it and it was really bad? Like they said, hey, Bill, you should have went ahead and let them work or whatever. Or they had a finish planned out that you screwed up for doing that?
I have never, it's only happened. I can't even remember who it was. It may have happened a couple of times, but I never got scolded for it because I said the shoulder was down. They didn't get it up.
I was always trained that way. Anybody I ever helped become a referee, I always told them, I told all my workers, it is your job to pull your arm up. It's not the referee should be treating that match as a shoot.
Yeah.
And if he's treating it as a shoot, your shoulder's down, he's got to do 1, 2, 3. I see it on television, what the big time with WWE sometimes. And I know there's more money up there than it is in Crowsville, Missouri on a show, but it really is one of those things that makes everybody look bad. So
it is.
Yeah. If you don't, like you said, you're not going to make yourself look bad as a referee, not counting, there's enough shenanigans that you have to do as a referee, not seeing what the heel's doing and all that kind of stuff. You definitely don't want to not count the. All right, we're going to wrap this up by I've listed some matches and some pretty big stars that you worked. And I'm just going to run off some names real quick. You talked about, but you worked Bill and Jerry and Jeff. Looks like y'all had like an 8-man tag or 6-man tag with the Scorpions. You tagged with the Scorpions, or were you under the hood as the Scorpions?
Nah, I don't think I was under a hood, was I?
I don't know. But you did work Bill and Jeff.
Yeah, I
and
got
Jerry
to work Bill and Jerry and Jeff on TV. Probably Tommy and Doug.
I got you working the Fabulous Ones, and we've been watching some of the. You and Sarge worked the Fabs, and we've been watching some of Steve Kern after the Fabs. Man, he looks stiff as hell. Was he stiff, or was he just a damn good worker?
Yeah, now he's a damn good worker, but he lays it in. I guarantee you that finish on that forearm, he got O'Reilly real good on that one. And Stan gave me a forearm across the back that morning. I thought I was gonna go to the concrete.
Damn.
So yeah, they laid it in.
Steve is just, the Fabs were us guys did not like the Fabs because they were pretty boys, and until they started feuding with the Moondogs, and when they feuded with the Moondogs, we said, oh, they're tough. But Steve just comes off as just a tough guy. You and Sarge,
a very tough guy.
Yeah, you and Sarge worked Jerry Lynn And Cody Michaels. Now, Cody Michaels he quit the business because of a broke neck. Yeah, I know you probably remember that when he broke his neck.
Yeah, yeah.
But hey, do you remember working Jerry Lynn?
Yes.
Easy to work, good
Oh,
guy.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You and Sarge also worked U.S. Mails that year. U.S. Mails, Curtis Thompson, and I can't remember who the other guy was.
Oh, no, that was brutal. That was those guys. Yeah, that was a brutal.
What was his last name? Walker. He was just a muscle guy, but he could not work.
He couldn't work a lick, man. He'd knock your head off.
Now I see this name, and I'll make sure I'm right here. This is Zawowski's with Rob Zawowski. That was Rob Van Dam, right?
That was Rob Van Dam. Yeah, that was a very unorthodox match to me. I had never worked anybody that does, a lot of that stuff he did. So to me, it wasn't a very good match on my part. But he was green too. He was just starting. Pretty much. But yeah, I worked Rob Van Dam before he was Rob Van Dam.
Yeah, way before he's Rob Van Dam. But him and Sabu, the reason they got so many dates is they got that reputation of having just a hell of a match. But it was one of those things where, they trained together, they rode together, they worked when they worked each other. It was really good. When they worked separate matches, especially when they were young, you were like, "Oh, what happened there?" kind of thing.
Yeah.
So here you said Todd Johnson. So I had to ask you about this. How was it working the Moondogs?
Well, the day I got to work the Moondogs, they came. They said that was the deal where I forgot who they were working an angle against, but they said the Moondogs couldn't wrestle. So Richard Lee said, "My dogs are going to wrestle today." So
oh wow,
I got lucky right there, and they actually wrestled and did not use any gimmicks. No gimmicks.
Wow.
But it was Cujo and Spot. It was Lanny King.
That was when Larry had left then.
It was Lanny. It was Lanny King and Larry Booker.
Oh, Larry was okay. Yeah.
And that
Spot. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, Lanny was a real good guy. He used to stay with me when he was in town. He would stay at my apartment.
Did you ever work for Larry at Osceola when he ran?
Maybe once or twice I did. Yep,
yeah,
sure did.
Yeah, I went down there and watched a couple of shows for him. Worked with him in Dyersburg a little bit, but kind of stayed. He was a super nice guy, but I just didn't want a chair or anything.
But I did work the Moondogs one time. It was somewhere, maybe in Missouri or somewhere. It was a Butch Reed show.
Oh, I remember that show.
It was his show, and the guys that they were going to work didn't show up, so they threw me and Kevin under hoods, and we had to work them. So I had to take some gimmicks that day. It wasn't too bad.
I've told this story, but Larry, we was in Dyersburg one night, and Larry pulled me to the side, and he said, "Coach, here's what I want you to do." He says, "My son is in the front row, and I want you to grab him out of the front row, and I want you to whip him with a belt." And I'm not a dumbass, Bill. I know what's fixing to happen, so I'm not a dumbass. I go, "You want me to beat your child with a belt? I want you to lay it in, Coach. I want you to lay it in.
Anything for the business, baby."
So I turn around. And I walk up to my guys, and I said, "I'm fixing to do something. I'm going to be stupid about." I said, "I'm not going to be stupid for doing it, but I know what the aftermath is." So I turn around, I go back to Larry, and I called him Spot most of the time, but it was like I had to go man to man with him. And I said, "Look, Larry," I said, "my guys are not going to want to do this because I know what this is leading to. You're going to have a leather strap match in a couple of weeks with my boys. We have shoe jobs. This is we're weekend warriors. We'll admit it. We were tag champs over there." And I said, "We're tag champs. It ain't no big deal. I understand what all this is." I said, I just can't do that, Larry." He goes, "Okay." So, he didn't make a big deal about it or anything. And then the next week they had us loser, leave town. Coach BT and his team had to leave town and lost the tag team belts from Naughty by Nature. And I was going, yeah, that's what happens when you say no to somebody like that. So, yeah, I just couldn't do it, man. I was like, oh, I'm going to get my ass beat. PG-13, what was your thoughts on them? You worked in.
Oh, man, I love both of those guys. I still love them till this day. I was glad to see. I went to that thing in Jackson, the Hall of Fame. I got to see them there. But, yeah, I had a lot of fun with those guys. We had some good matches, and then I ended up refereeing many of their matches. Traveled a little bit with Jamie.
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
Oh, man, we had a blast, dude.
I bet. We watched these two guys. Now, we watched it last season we did that year where they debuted, the PG-13 debut, and they were good from day one. And I know, Jamie was part of the business and in the business his whole life, but especially even in 91, his promos are so good. He just makes you believe what he is saying and what he's doing. And then their team was so good. And we kept saying, why aren't they pushing them? Why aren't they pushing them? And then I talked to Whoopi and he said, we had car trouble.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
I was glad to see them, in the business, because at the time, they were more my size.
They were, yeah.
They actually, when I got to work them, I actually got to work. They let me work. They trusted me and, what I could do. They were good friends. They still are. That deal in Jackson, I was talking to Wolfie on Facebook, and he was like, well, how come we don't ever see you at none of these events? And my exact words were, I don't get any invites.
Right.
So the next thing I know, I'm going to this thing. Kevin did my little picture and all that stuff. But it was weird getting back around some of the guys, because a lot of them's done got pretty old.
Hey, Bill, come on, don't be saying that.
Bill, he kind of nodded at me, and
Bill didn't know who I was the first time I seen him in Evansville, but the second time during that day, he actually knew who I was. But yeah. Bill's not in perfect shape. When Jerry's not real great shape neither, but he's still making all these dates.
He's making all those appearances, but I don't know. I watched him, sign an autograph. It was that was rough, man, to see.
Yeah, I did too in Evansville. It was rough
to see that. But hey, all we can say is we're all still on the right side of the dirt right now.
Yeah, well, Jerry said that in the dressing room one night. I told this on USWA podcast in Tuckerman. We were in Tuckerman, and they were like, "Why are you still doing this?" And he was like, "What else am I going to do?" Kind of thing.
It's been his life.
Yes, that's all he's done on Saturday nights or during the week, whatever. All right, you said you worked Doug and Eddie. Good, easy to work?
Oh, yeah, man. I got one story about Doug.
All right.
I was working him on TV, and, the finish, the Brain Buster.
Right.
He used to do the Brain Buster. Well, that was a finish, and he got me up, but he did it so fast, I didn't have time to extend my legs. It was like down, and that was it. Well, my knee came down and got him right in the nose.
Oh, man.
I'm pretty sure I broke Doug Gilbert's nose that morning.
Yeah, I broke a nose before, and I broke somebody's ribs, but
he was pretty pissed off at me. But
I bet. Yeah, Doug's not one of those guys that holds back anything.
No, he's not. Which I don't blame him, but I kind of, like I said, it went so fast. It was like no set time. It was just boom, and there it was.
I've said this lately that, I went back and watched, we watched a lot of Doug Gilbert stuff, and, I was always a fan of Eddie's and Tommy. I was a fan of Tommy Gilbert. Just I love Tommy Gilbert's promos because
Oh,
they
yeah.
they were so you believed everything coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
But I think I underrated Doug, Bill. I think I said Doug's not a good worker. Doug's just Eddie's brother. But after you go back and watch it, he knew what he was doing. He knew when to do everything, and everything looked solid. But I think he got a bad reputation of just getting pushes because of Eddie. But he was a hard worker, and
I thought Doug was a good worker. Doug, he definitely paid his dues. I mean, he's in a wrestling family.
And then he went. He said 26 or 27 tours of Japan.
Oh yeah, I think he loved Japan.
That's crazy, man.
Oh
that
yeah, I think he had a steady job with the state of Tennessee. So he's been real smart about it, and he's probably doing real good. But yeah, 27 tours of Japan. That's
crazy. I think
that's impressive.
Yeah, it's nutty because it's a long ass flight there and a long ass flight back. There's two matches. We got two people you worked. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up after we talk about these two people. But you made mention of it during it was the USWA versus Smoky Mountain feud that was going on, and you worked Bob Armstrong. Now I was in a battle royal with Bob, and he chopped me in my chest, and I didn't think I was going to be able to breathe again. But how was it working, Bob? He was you worked him on TV.
Yeah, it was great. He come to me. He said, "Man," he said, "you jumped me." He said, I want to feel like I got a buzz saw on my back." He said, "You better lay it in." He said, "You hit me as hard as you want to." Man, and his skin was like hitting leather. He was just tough. Yeah. But yeah, that's what he told me. And I got him there for a little while. And then Gene, the other referee, I can't remember Gene's last name, but he hooked my arms when I was getting over on Bob. And then Bob gave me the chop, brother.
Yep, I watched it.
I wore his handprint for 2 weeks.
Oh man, it is something to feel. Let me just tell you, it is. He had a big hand too.
Yes,
I mean it wasn't a little hand. It was a big.
Bob was a fireman.
Yeah.
So,
he was a tough guy.
A tough dude.
Yep. You worked against. This is a Monday night. I don't know 96. I don't know if that's a Coliseum or what, but you're in the ring against who was a friend of mine, Scott Bowden. So what do you remember about working Scott?
I worked Scott.
That's what they said, that you worked Scott. You don't remember? Your memory's bad as mine.
Man, it was all in party favors with Jamie Dundee. Man, that could have been a possibility. But I swear, Brian, I don't remember.
Man, Scott was.
I love Scott Bowden.
Yeah, he was underrated, man.
Yeah, man, Scott was a great guy, man. He was around, when Brian first got into business, and they were buddies, and
Kevin's told the story to me before. They had their own little league of wrestlers.
Yeah,
in the neighborhood.
Yeah, they had like a little neighborhood thing, but them, Brian and Tony, when they got started in the business, that was I gotta tell you, the Central All-Star Wrestling in my beginning. That's where they came and filmed their match to take it to Jerry to show him that they could work.
Oh, well, see, I've heard this story a million times, but I didn't know where it was actually. So who did they work that night?
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. It was at Porter Gym in Memphis.
And did you ever work Brian and Tony?
I don't think so. I don't think I ever worked Brian, Tony.
They was a good team, and Brian was so talented with everything. I had some kid ask me something, what tapes should I be watching or who should I be watching on YouTube? I said, you don't even have to look at the moves. Just go look at where he puts everything, not the actual move, but what he does to go into the move, what he does outside the ring, what he does, He was just so talented.
He was.
All right, man, we're going to get off here. I want you to stick with me because we do a little extra Patreon bill. I appreciate it. Do you want to put over if you're listening to this and you're a wrestling fan and you're watching USWA with us, do you want to tell everybody about your Facebook? Because that's your shoot name, right?
Yeah, my Facebook is Billy Rush.
All right, Billy Rush. And that was a question I was going to ask, and I'll ask it on Patreon. Guys, thanks for joining us today, tonight, whenever we put this out. Same bad time, same bad channel on the best little wrestling podcast in the business. Be there. And as everyone knows, now Bill's going to know this. I love my mama.